we decided to launch People's War because that was the only way of pursuing the struggle of the people for national liberation and democracy. For us, the revolutionaries and the people, to advocate solutions to the fundamental problems of the people, like U.S. imperialist domination and the problems of domestic feudalism and corruption and bureaucracy. We would be in trouble without being prepared with the use of People's War, because there was the anti-subversion law at the time, which allowed the state or the reactionary government to use force against us who would advocate the fundamental solutions to the fundamental problems of the people. The Communist Party of the Philippines has plenty of support in the Philippines because it stands for the national and democratic interest of the people. It relies mainly on the workers and peasants, and it also appeals to the urban petty bourgeois, the intelligentsia and those with small business interest. That's what I mean by urban petty bourgeois. But essentially, the Communist Party of the Philippines is a party that represents the working class. So it has the support of the working class. But in a country like the Philippines, where you have a large peasant population, you have to consider the problems of the peasantry. As a matter of fact, the land problem is the main problem in the Philippines with regard to realizing democracy, because the peasants are the majority of the people. You simply have to solve their problems. And so you have a party that appeals to the working class and the peasantry. You might say the Communist Party of the Philippines has the support of 90%, more than 90% of the Filipino people. Yes, the Communist Party of the Philippines is very active in the urban areas. The urban population comes to 25%. You see, the Philippines is an underdeveloped agrarian country. The majority of the Philippines is still under agrarian conditions. But of course, there are the big cities and urban areas like provincial capitals and town centers. So many of these places have electricity and piped-in water, but there is not much industry in the Philippines. Well, the U.S. military force is an unwelcome force in the Philippines. It's an instrument of U.S. domination. So it is targeted by the Filipino people as an instrument for the oppression and exploitation of the people. The U.S. imperialists are behind the reactionary classes of big landlords and big compradors and corrupt government officials ruling the Philippines, and it is the Pentagon supplying arms, training, intelligence, and many other requirements for making for effecting military control over the Philippines. So you might say that the reactionaries in the Philippines can continue to rule only because of U.S. military support. And at the moment, there are American forces of military intervention in certain parts of the country. There is yet no full aggression, but there is military intervention. And this is a manifestation of how much the Philippines is subordinated to a foreign power. There is no telling, in the sense of making a precise schedule, like setting the train schedule here in the Netherlands. But in general, there is a sense, there is a one can think of probable stages of development. So at the first stage, you have the period of the strategic defensive. The enemy force is so strong in numbers, militarily and technically. And while the people's guerrillas are not as well armed and they are not as well trained, so they go through a period of avoiding decisive battles with a big force. But they do undertake tactical offensives. The guerrillas choose the time and place for attacking the superior military force. Superior military force divides itself. It's not one big mass all the time. So, but then the guerrillas do not fight at every given engagement. They do not fight any battle they are not sure of winning. They do not fight a much bigger force. But there will come a time when the revolutionary forces, the guerrillas, shall have gained enough strength that they would be in equilibrium with the other side. So that would be the period or the stage of the strategic stalemate, when more or less the two sides have strength. But then the balance would change, because the People's Army would take the initiative of launching tactical offensives that will bring about more arms for the people. Then ultimately there shall be the stage when the superior military force at the beginning would be on the defensive. It would be the one on the defensive, and then it would be the People's Army that would be on the strategic offensive. So there's a change of position. Now, there is no scheduling, precise scheduling for this at the moment. For so long, there is this stage of the strategic defensive. And according to announcements we read from the Communist Party, the People's Army will try to advance from the strategic defensive to the threshold or early beginning of the strategic stalemate. So they have definite ideas. The U.S. is showing weaknesses economically, financially, militarily, and politically. But it will not disappear overnight. The U.S. now is preoccupied with its wars of aggression in Iraq and Afghanistan, and it has difficulties. But inside the U.S., to stress the point that the U.S. is overreaching, it is reaching out, it has 800 military bases all over the world, but inside it's rotten. No? Inside the U.S. it is rotten. Uh, there is a high rate of unemployment, homelessness, and there is a lack of social services. So it's supposed to be the richest country, but the ones that are rich are the banking oligarchs, the financial oligarchs, and those stockholders and managers of the big corporations in what is called the military-industrial complex. There is this protracted crisis going on. At the first instance, the big bourgeoisie took out profits by pushing down the wage levels of the workers. No? So the crisis about overproduction was there. It's always becoming more grave. But then the monopoly bourgeoisie tries to make money on money. No? They create a fictitious capital. No? They have overvalue their assets, and then they starve the working people of funds, of income, and in making money on money, they have all sorts of exotic derivatives, but then there is a limit to making money on money. The financial overhang collapses on the real economy, and production itself and employment go awry. And the more people get unemployed, because an economy can only run if you have people with good wages who can buy the products of industry. And so that's the problem now in the US. There is something on the internet which shows the worsening of the unemployment situation from 2007. It starts with less places, but more and more from year to year, the unemployment spreads like an epidemic. That's the situation in the US. So the US economy is practically imploding. It was said before that socialism is no more, it's hopeless, but the integration of former socialist countries into the world capitalist system made the capitalist world more tight, no? And the competition became more destructive to the capitalist countries themselves, no? Including the traditional powers that be among the capitalist countries, as well as the newly converted capitalist countries, or what they call the new emerging markets, to use the jargon of business journalism.